Get in on the secret. September is one of the best times to visit the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel in Rehoboth Beach. The weather is grand, and just steps from the sand, you can relax and experience the convenience of their oceanfront location right on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk. Enjoy Victoria's Restaurant, the charming Plaza Pub and room service. Visit boardwalkplaza.com and book your perfect getaway today, or call 800-33-BEACH for fast, friendly assistance. Thanks to the Boardwalk Plaza for being the Bridge Podcast Network sponsor.
Have you ever wondered why Christians tell white lies? What even is a white lie? We're going to talk about that today. I'm Mark Dickey.
And I'm Burt Miller.
This is the Why Do Christians podcast. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on the Bridge radio station. My co-host is Pastor Burt Miller of Solid Ground Church in Lewis, Delaware. Burt, how are you today?
Mark, speak no evil, Dickey. Doing well. Doing well. How about you? Wait, no, hold on. We always ask how I am.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
How's the world of Mark Dickey?
The world of Mark Dickey is good. I'm one of those people where if you ask me how I'm doing, like you're passing somebody on the street, hey, how are you? It pains me to just say good, and I have to give like a full response and just go through a mental checklist. Okay, how is Mark doing? Okay, it's like, well, I really wish I brought eye drops to this podcast recording. My eyes a little itchy.
Oh,
I'm starting to get a little
right
hungry. Okay. Yeah, but good.
Okay, well, let's go back to that scenario for a moment.
Okay.
If we could just air some past. All right. Let's say you see somebody, you're in passing. They say, "How you doing, Mark?" And you say, "Good." Has there ever been a moment where you weren't actually doing well?
Absolutely.
And so in that moment, you looked them in the eye and you lied to them. Is that
what
right?
a segue.
Oh, we're however many episodes in. I'm learning here, Mark.
That's good.
Thanks, man.
That's good. Well, we actually got a letter from Gary in New Jersey, and he just had so many nice things to say.
Hey, Gary, thanks for that.
Gary said, Mark, it was to me. Okay.
Oh, never mind, Gary. What's your beef with me? Man.
He said, thank you very much for speaking with me. I've been emailing Gary a little bit about finding a church.
Wait, you've been talking to Gary behind my back? What is this deal where Gary and Mark are just chatting it up? Gary loves what Mark's doing. Burt, it's sort of come or go, he'll be here or not. But Mark, I see. Okay. It's fine. It's fine.
You know what though? Okay, he's got nice things to say about you. Okay, so if you could just hold your horses.
All right. I'm really bracing for the other shoe to fall here, Gary.
He really resonated with the Why Do Christians Form Clicks episode.
Oh, okay.
And so he really appreciated it. He said, I went and listened to the podcast for the 5th time.
Aww.
To note down what I took as the key points that you and Pastor Burt said, and hung it on the fridge. How cool is that?
Gary, you're awesome.
Yeah. Now you don't want to.
I feel a little regret, little ashamed of my actions that I was so quick to dismiss or judge your relationship with Gary. Mark, I'm sorry.
All right, here's the salt in the wound. Oh. Overall, I appreciate the joking nature of the back and forth between Pastor Burt and yourself.
Oh, great. Okay.
While at the same time delivering some great insight into topics that are relevant no matter where you are at your walk. So keep on the great work. Keep on doing the great work, fellas. I appreciate you both.
Man, I kind of want to get Gary in the room now so I can eyeball apologize. But man, Gary, you're the best, man. Thanks for that email.
Finally, an ethical...
Oh, is there a question in this?
There's a question.
Okay.
There's a question. An ethical conundrum I have is, why do Christians not consider white lies a sin? Does it say in the Bible somewhere that some lies are okay?
Mm-hmm.
Wishing you and your family a safe and happy Easter, Gary.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Do we give awards for great emails and questions? Because if we do...
We mentioned them on the podcast.
Okay.
And so Gary is forever...
He's in there.
He's framed.
He's in the annals of this podcast history.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's right. So great question, Gary. We love getting feedback, and if anyone else has questions or about episodes or for future episodes that we'd love to cover those topics, email your questions to podcast@wearethebridge.org and just put "Why do Christians" in the what's it called, subject. So, all right, lying. It's a great question. You're not supposed to lie,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. The scriptures are very clear that lying is wrong. Some verses I think that are really good around this. Proverbs 12:22 says it like this. It says, the Lord, listen to this word, Mark, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy. Another one would be Colossians 3:9, where Paul writes, do not lie to each other, since you've taken off your old self with its practices. Here's another, like a really big one. If you're going to the New Testament, Jesus says this thing, and I think this is pretty huge, because sometimes with this idea, I'm glad that we're talking about this idea of Christians and lying, because for how many people lying is something that's minimized. Oh, it's not that big of a deal or whatever. But here's how Jesus actually describes it in rebuking the Pharisees. He says, it's John 8:44, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. And listen to how he describes the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth. For there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. That's a crazy statement that basically Satan, not crazy in the sense of it's insane, just it's big, right? That Satan is the father of lies. In fact, Jesus would identify it with being satanic. And that should stop us in our tracks, because how many of us, oh man, like we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or we don't have this or that. Or I'll lie and I'll say was one way, or I'll embellish the truth, and what's the harm if I do that? And that I think shows our standards, not necessarily God's. That God actually is against lying. One other inference I would just bring up with this would be, as far as I remember, I think there's only 2 times in the book of Acts, which is the story of the beginning of the New Testament church, where you see any moments of God's divine wrath, like God afflicting and bringing judgment on someone. One is when Paul tells a guy, who's an opponent of the gospel, you're going to become blinded, and the guy is struck with blindness. But the other one, famously, is this couple in the New Testament church in Acts 5 called Ananias and Sapphira, right? And what they do is they lie to the church to make it look like they're giving more than they are to the church. And this is how Peter rebukes them in Acts 5:3. Says, then Peter said, Ananias, how is it Satan, and there it is again, like with this idea of Satan being behind it, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and kept for yourself some of the money you received for the land? At that moment, Ananias drops dead, and then the same happens with his wife later. So maybe lying is a much bigger deal than we give it credit.
Yeah. You know what you just reminded me of? Earlier when I was a new Christian, when I would hear someone say something is satanic, I would think that, one, they were a little bit crazy. Like, oh, this person's like one of those Christians. Okay, I get it. I used to think that there was following God, there was a gray space, and then there was stuff that was satanic. Like, oh, I'm not doing what God wants for me, but at least I'm not doing like really
bad thing.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But in reality, as I came to learn, anything that's not following God
is satanic.
Is satanic.
Yeah. I mean, like the idea would be that to do something that is not God's way is spiritually treasonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just always pictured, or maybe it's just the world, the way that everything was kind of presented to me as a kid and as a teenager, like, oh, like satanic it's not like, we're not like worshiping the devil by doing this, but in reality, there's not like a third option,
right?
It's like you're following God or you're not.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I don't know, in case somebody listening to that explanation, it's like, what do you mean it's satanic?
Right, yeah.
I'm not
like we're not getting out pentagrams or anything.
We're not butchering animals and leaving them on altars.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're defining that in terms of a rebellion against God as king, right? Like the Lord being supreme and his will being done in creation. To lie is to go against his will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So specifically, Gary brought up white lies. And that's a specific kind of lie, which is basically a lie that's not, you're not telling the truth because you don't want to hurt somebody. Or, you're trying to lead them to do a good thing.
Right.
Like, I don't know, it's, he said Happy Easter. We recently celebrated Easter as we're recording this, and, there's lots of candy in the house. And my daughter's like, is there any Easter candy left? Nope, it's all gone.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's still candy, but it's...
You don't want to tantruming.
It's 7 p.m. No more candy.
Yeah.
That's a white lie. And actually, I looked up where the term white lie came from.
Okay.
It's like, I feel like there would be a better way to describe this word.
Okay.
A good lie. I don't know. But white lie comes from the kind of the narrative tradition that you see in movies like Star Wars, the light side and the dark side.
Okay.
Light and darkness, basically white being the light side. It's a good lie.
So like Wizard of Oz, good witch, bad witch.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And good versus evil. So rather than it being an evil lie, it's a good lie.
Isn't that interesting? Because you think about if that's where it comes from. All right, let's just play that a little bit. I get it cinematically with things that aren't real, but we as Christians, would we say there's such thing as good magic, right? Like if people are practicing spells or the occult and they go, no, I'm just doing white magic, we would still say that's demonic. We would still say that's bad. Don't engage with those things because they're clearly forbidden. So isn't it interesting that what we do right there is we put our standards on it and we go, well, as long as it's not hurting somebody, if it's a non-harmful lie, it's okay. And then we have to ask, okay, well, what's our gauge for that? Usually it's us, isn't it? It's, I don't want to deal with something, or I want to embellish something. Oftentimes white lies, what's meant, it's either to avoid conflict or maybe somebody to puff up their resume.
Dinner was great.
Yeah. Right. I'm not saying I have an easy alternative to it. I remember several years ago, I had a friend who had worked on an artistic project that he shared with me. And I was just very dogmatic, and I didn't like it, Mark. I really didn't like it. And he says, so what do you think?
I'm running through my mind any artistic project I've shared with you.
It wasn't you. It wasn't you. And I'm intentionally not saying what kind of artistic project it was. Okay. And so he's like, what do you think? And I didn't like it. And I felt like I didn't handle it the best. I feel like there must have been a third way, because I didn't want to lie to him. So I just went, oh man, I just love your heart and what you're doing. Oh. So I completely sides, and he knew what that meant. So the hurt was there anyway, but I didn't want to lie. But it's one of those things okay, when somebody says something you don't want to hurt their feelings. What do? Because, and I don't have an easy answer for don't lie. But what do you do in a place where the truth might hurt their feelings? I don't know that I have an easy answer to that. So this podcast will probably just leave you more confused than ever as a result of listening to it. I don't know.
Right. Is it ever biblically acceptable to lie?
Yeah. Actually, I would argue there are some instances where it's okay.
Is this open hand? We always talk about closed hand theology and open hand theology.
Well, before we, evaluate that, maybe you want to just explain to everybody what that means?
Yeah. So the idea being, we talk about this all the time, especially with the Easter episode, that there are things that we can believe open-handedly, meaning it sits there on the palm of your hand. Oh yeah, I believe. I don't want to give an example because someone's gonna be like, no, I don't believe that.
Right. I can be the bad guy here. All right. We could disagree about predestination, right? How much God is in control of things.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one of those things where we can still believe that Jesus was born, died, and rose again, that we can still follow God and follow Jesus.
And have space to disagree there.
And disagree with that. A close-handed piece of theology, close-handed
doctrine
is something like the resurrection.
Right.
We can't disagree on.
Yeah,
if Jesus didn't rise from the grave, then...
Or if you believe that Jesus didn't rise from the grave, you're not a Christian.
You believe something completely different.
Yes, completely different faith. Yeah.
So in asking about, your response, what does the Bible say about white lies? I'm curious, is this debatable, or is this kind of...
I think it has to be. But I think I'm right.
All right.
So here's how I think I want to evaluate this. There's this
you hear that?
What's
the
that?
sound of 1,000 computers,
Wow.
1,000 emails being written.
Guys, let me get my thought out there first. Wait, no. So, there's this moment in the Gospel of Mark where, this is in Mark 2, where Jesus is being rebuked by religious leaders for healing on the Sabbath, right? He heals on the day of rest, and his response is, listen, like first of all, my Father's always working, okay? And secondly, he goes, you guys have misinterpreted the heart of the law. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Meaning the rule was given as a way to bless and serve. People weren't made for the rule was made for people. Okay? So here's why I want to bring this up. Because when we're evaluating this idea of, is it ever okay to lie? I think what we have to ask is, what is the heart of the rule? Like, why is that rule given? Now, we want to be really careful with that, because oftentimes in asking that, we can start to go into self-serving territory. But I want to just reiterate that I think biblically you see precedent for this idea of that kind of, let's evaluate what the heart of the rule is. So I'll give you another example, okay? 1 Peter 2:13 through 15. You have a clear instruction to obey governmental authorities who are placed over you, right? So Peter says this, submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every human authority, whether to the emperor as the supreme authority or to governors who are sent by him to punish those who do wrong and to commend those who do right. For it is God's will that by doing good you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. And so, hey, Peter goes across the board, submit to governmental authority. And by the way, when he writes that, the governmental authority is the Roman Empire, who is oppressive and abusive towards Christians. Okay? So, that's the command. But earlier in the Bible, way back, you think of in Exodus, when Exodus opens, you have the Pharaoh, the governmental authority over Egypt, who is commanding the slaughter of Hebrew baby boys as they're born. And the Hebrew midwives refuse. And this is what it says, God did as a result of them disobeying the governmental authority. This is Exodus 1:21. It says, and because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Okay? So, which one is it? Is it that we're supposed to obey governmental authority? Or is it that God's saying, no, there's some instances where you can't do that? And I would say if governmental authority commands you to act in a way that, if governmental authority said, hey, worship other gods. All right, well, the precedent of the book of Daniel is that you absolutely do not do that. Okay? So there are times where we have to go, what's the heart behind the rule? Okay? Which brings us to the idea of lying. All right. There are times in the Bible where people lie, and it's a good thing that they did.
Okay.
I'll give you a couple examples. All right. First one would be this. In the book of Joshua, when Joshua sends spies into Jericho to survey the area before they attack, they go and they stay with this woman named Rahab. All right. Rahab, she covers for them because she knows that God's with them. And the city officials go and they go to her because they hear, hey, spies have come in. And this is what she does in Joshua 2:4 and 5. It says, but the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. So she hides them from the governmental authorities. And she said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they came from. In verse 5, at dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. And so she lies to their faces. Yeah. And this was recorded as a good thing that she did. Okay. Another one would be this. David's wife, Michal, when her father Saul is trying to kill David, what she does, this is in 1 Samuel 19, verses 13 and 14. Basically, she takes an idol, which is like a sculpture. Okay. Not like they're worshiping idols, but like a sculpture. All right. And covers it with a clothing on it. She puts goat hair on the head of it and puts it in the bed. And so, the guys look in the house, and then 1 Samuel 19, verse 14 says, when Saul sent the men to capture David, Michal said, he's ill. So they look in there, they see the body in the bed. Really, David has gone, he's fled. And so she covers for him. And so what I would say is, what's the heart of the rule? Is the lie selfish? Is the lie derogatory? Does the lie tear apart? Okay, then don't lie. But if loving my neighbor puts me in a position where I have to lie, then maybe it's okay. And again, I want to be really careful with that, because what people could do is they could be like, "Well, this is loving my neighbor," and really, it's not actually. But that's why I think we have to evaluate, okay, like, what's the heart and thought behind the rule?
Right. Well, it seems like there's a lot of life and death involved in all of these lies.
Sure. Yeah. And like, so for instance, I can think of times where maybe I've been counseling a person who's like, hey, I've had these ways I've been unfaithful to my spouse in the past, but I can't tell them because it would hurt them if I told them. And my response is, well, no, your actions will hurt the spouse. Like you have to tell them. In fact, you being quiet, you're lying to them right now. Like, and like you need to come clean. But sometimes when people do that, well, no, if it'll hurt the person's feelings, I shouldn't say anything. No, that's not a reason to lie. And so I think we have to ask, like, what's behind the lie? Is it to maintain something for yourself? Is it to look better? Is it to deceive or to gain confidence from someone, or to leverage and control a narrative? Is it self-serving? These are reasons that I would say, all right, these are why the scripture commands are given, because those things destroy, and also they break fellowship, right? Like if I'm living in a way that I'm deceiving the people around me, they don't actually know me, and consequently I don't actually know them, because all I know is their reaction to the false me. And so these are things that have got to be considered with all of it. And again, I want to be really, really careful. It's like, please don't hear from me that Burt's saying, oh yeah, there are times where it's okay to lie, so I'll go ahead and lie. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there may be extreme scenarios where that is the right thing to do.
You've got me thinking about, now what is a lie?
Right.
Thinking about the false me.
Yeah.
And are you being yourself in your...
Yeah. Versus...
But that's more of a self-discovery thing than...
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, you could go introspective, and the goal is, like, we want to be people of light as God himself is light. But, look, you and I were talking about this before we recorded the show, like the extreme example would be, and this is such like an internet argument, but we'll use it. You have people who hid Jewish people from the Nazis, right? During World War II, and they'd be like, no, there's nobody here. Like, did they sin in doing that? No, I don't think they did. Mm-hmm. I think that meets biblical exemption, so to speak.
I mean, that's literally
those stories.
The story that you shared.
2 of them, yeah. So I think, but that's very different from here's what I want a person to think of me, or here's a conflict I want to avoid.
Right.
Those are not the same thing.
Yeah. So why have we decided that it's okay to let some sins be black and white? We'll keep the the black and white going. Like, where it's like, okay, this sin is a sin, and when you do this, God is mad at you. You're not right with God.
Right.
But then there's other things where we go, no, it's okay to lie. Like, no, it's okay to do this. Like, why do we do that?
Well, I think the short answer is because we tend to skew things towards what we're comfortable with. Right? So I have noticed that the sins that I am more comfortable with others committing are ones that either I've seen a lot or ones that I may have done myself.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I think all of us, in our flesh, in our the parts of us that are ungodly, that the Lord is making like Jesus in the lifelong process called sanctification. There's still things that aren't like Jesus yet. And I've noticed, at least in me and my own heart, I tend to be permissive towards the things that are my own evil.
Yeah.
And every now and then there might be an exception to that where I react in a harsher way because it reminds me of me. But generally speaking, I think that's why. I think that's why those gray areas exist. Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely found that if there are things that I will loosely say conquered, like sins that used to have me, and
sure.
I've by the grace of God been able to.
You're different now.
Yeah, I'm different now. Those are the ones that I judge harder because it's like I can do it. Why can't you do it?
Right.
And then I like what you said too, the exact opposite. You're willing to let other sins pass because you're still struggling with them.
Yeah. Years ago, we so at our church, we have in terms of when people serve and hey, I want to volunteer for ministry. We have an honor code in terms of what we expect of team members to do because they represent the church. And we had a conversation several years ago where we were asking about, people were saying, well, listen, what if so-and-so is doing this? Could they still serve? And what if this person's doing that? Because we're all works in progress. We're all so what levels of influence and leadership do we allow people to have? And we decided, no, you know what? We're going to be very firm in this. And the reason we are, the thing that stopped us in our tracks is we realized what we were asking was, what sins are we okay with our people committing? And that made us go, hold on, that's not the right heart in any of this, right? I mean, and I would say this as well too. Are we bothered or not by it? The goal is to be like Jesus, right? The goal is not how much sin can I get away with and still go to heaven,
right?
The goal is to be holy as He is holy, and that's a work of the Holy Spirit. He brings that about in us. This is not a thing of if you just try harder, God will like you. No, we're saved by grace, and through faith. At the same time, if we're just trying to sort of edge by with, okay, is this technically a sin or not? Or, okay, that's already the wrong place to be, because what that shows is that we're not actually after God's nature. We're after maintaining our old nature. And that's not a place that a Christian wants to be.
Man, that's so good. It's like just kind of dancing on the shoreline, yeah, my feet are getting wet. When God asks you to just cannonball right in, you're just like, no, I still like the land. The land's safe.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's kind of the heart behind why we like to categorize different sins. But doesn't the Bible say that all sin is equal? The wages of sin is death.
Right.
That's what the Bible says.
The short answer is no. The Bible teaches that all sin is equal in the sense that all of it and any of it can separate us from God.
Okay.
Right. So James 2:10 says, for whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. So yes, all sin, any and all sin can separate us from God. The idea that all sin is basically the same is not biblically true. All right. So some examples of that. For instance, you find Jesus talking about this idea when he's betrayed. He says, the one who betrayed me to you, this is John 19:10-11. He says, the one who betrayed me to you has committed the greater sin. All right. Indicating there's different levels of sin. You can think about in his Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 7, where he's the idea of there being a speck in one person's eye and a log in the other. That there's greater and smaller sins. Another example would be, this is famous. This is probably Proverbs 6, where it talks about these things that are extra abominable to the Lord. Is it saying that all the other things that the scriptures mention as sin are not sin? No, but these 6 things are the absolute worst. And Mark, hang on. Let me read them to you, because you're going to go, oh, wait, what? Because they're not our standard. Huh. All right, so this is okay. So this is Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. It says, there are 6 things the Lord hates and 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue.
Define haughty eyes. I don't use the word haughty. Prideful eyes.
All right. Okay. A lying tongue.
Okay. That's our topic today.
Hands that shed innocent blood. That makes sense. Okay. A heart that devises wicked schemes. Okay. So you're planning to do bad stuff. Okay. Feet that are quick to rush into evil. A false witness who pours out lies. And listen to this. And a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Okay. Right. These things that a person creates division, who creates conflict. Oh, I'm just stirring the pot. According to this, you're doing something that's detestable towards the Lord. All right.
I think my personality type. That's a default for me, just because it's
right.
You're reading my mail right now, so that's why we're taking a deviation. I know this is off topic.
No, let's go.
But the stirring of the pot, I just love any project I'm working on. Is it the best it can be? Is it that's who? And so I know that's an honorable thing.
That's very different than this. Yeah.
But when you're but at the radio station, okay, this isn't as good as it can be. How can I How can I like actively working with other people to make changes happen and stuff like that?
That's very different from dividing people. Right.
Well, as long as you're being godly about it.
Well, regardless.
Anyway.
Okay. Regardless.
Enough about me.
No, but let's look. But okay, for how many people hearing that the Lord detests, like gross to him, lying lips?
Yeah.
How many of us are like, whoa? Why? Because the standard usually is self-skewed. All right. So I bring this up to say, like, back to this idea of, all sin being basically the same. No, it's not. And according to places like this, and also remember Jesus way back at the beginning in John 8, calling lying from the devil. Like, it's that big of a thing. We don't think of it that way because lying is easy. Like, we learn to do it as a kid. And it's, in many times, socially acceptable as long as you don't get caught. Right?
Isn't it interesting that's, would you consider lying the first sin? Maybe not the first sin, but that's what caused the first sin.
Oh, you mean in terms of what Satan did in the garden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's certainly the sin of Satan, sure.
Yeah. That's just, I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
What was that verse that had the 6 things? Because that's just, I want to revisit that and just kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure someone else probably does too. They can just rewind it, but I can't rewind it.
It's Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. So Proverbs 6, 16 through 19.
So Proverbs, I kind of think of Proverbs as like the fortune cookie book of the Bible.
Okay.
It's like, any future entrepreneurs, like, make your own fortune cookies and just stick verses from Proverbs in it because they're all just like single sentence.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
That'd be a great, it'd probably be his booming business.
Wow.
Christian fortune cookies with
I don't feel good about any of that.
Proverbs.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. The book of Proverbs always just seems like it's like the Twitter of the Bible. It's like all these like one-liners that I'm like, well, where's the context?
The X of the Bible now.
The X, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, where's the context? I know that's a nice thing, but can you give me more information about that? And yeah, that Proverbs verse is really, really interesting to me. Maybe we should do, why do Christians have haughty eyes?
Okay. All right. Haughty eyes. Okay.
That's just a funny word to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Haughty.
Can't say without sounding like you're from New England.
Yeah.
Haughty.
Hey, look at these haughties over here.
I feel like this is not the first time we've done New England accents on this show.
Definitely
I think
not.
we've slid into it before. Okay. That's why Gary listens. He loves it.
That's right.
He's in. Yeah. Gary goes, I like with my podcast, a little bit of Boston.
Little bit of Boston.
Yeah.
So, did we answer the question?
I think so. Why do Christians tell white lies?
Yeah.
Different reasons and that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so I guess to wrap it up, yeah, it's okay, but
no.
What?
I don't know that it is okay.
It's not?
I don't think so.
I've been sitting here listening to you talk about this.
I think it depends on the scenario. I don't have a good, easy answer to that.
Okay.
I
was getting there.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I was getting there.
Okay, you go.
Like, it's okay, but the examples we see in Scripture are talking about life and death.
When you say okay, do you mean morally or people are okay with it?
I guess I'm saying morally.
Oh, I don't think so.
See? Okay. Change my mind. Oh.
I think the idea is people do it because they are personally, in their own moral leanings, okay with doing it, but that doesn't mean that it's okay in the eyes of God. I think biblically speaking, there are exceptions to the rule in specific extreme scenarios, but that doesn't mean that lying is okay as a dodge or a thing to do, like if done for selfish reasons.
Okay. So if dinner's bad, just tell them it's bad.
I don't have any answer to that. Okay.
I'm kidding.
And change the subject or something. Look, a squirrel, and then just run. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think white lies generally are okay.
Okay. And maybe the reason you're finding yourself in the position of needing to white lie is a greater question to ask.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's in you that makes you feel like you need to lie? Oh. Why do Christians get deep at the end of the episode? Wow.
And then leave people hanging.
Ah.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode and content like this, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I don't know how Spotify works, but I'm sure
YouTube Music is one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if there's a place where you can leave a review, just, it's 5 stars, right?
Come on, buddy.
I mean,
Gary's giving it 5 stars. Why don't you?
and if you give it 5 stars, maybe we should go and see if we can find any reviews. Maybe we'll call people out for their
fragile for
their
that,
reviews.
Mark. Okay. Well, they ain't lying out there. All right.
I'm looking this up right now.
Has anyone ever left a review for the show?
I don't know. We've asked a couple times. All right, so I'm on Apple Podcasts, and we have a 5 out of 5.
Hey!
Thanks to 6 people. I think we need to up that number.
Yeah, and also we need to get this podcast listened to in Alaska.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
We have a map that shows us where people are listening to, and we've not quite broken through the barrier of the Great White North and getting into the great state of Alaska. I haven't done it.
And once we reach all 50 states, Burt is going to shave his beard.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
You know what, Mark?
No, don't do that. We're so close.
Okay.
We don't need to resort to that.
I could shave it into a Fu Manchu.
Okay.
Okay. I actually wouldn't do that. Okay, sorry.
But yeah, leave a review. And if you have a question for a future episode, we'd love to have it on as a topic. Just email your questions to podcast@wearethebridge.org. Thanks for listening.